아, 이게 잘 말하고. 진짜 눈이 어떻게 됐구나. 아, 예. 자, 여기다. Tuck them all in envelopes for us to take them all up.
Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, it would just be a page. Way too informal. That's for immediate release.
But it'll get recorded, or it's just the stream.
All right, let's get this going. Hello and welcome everyone, and including everyone on the live stream, hopefully, if everything is going well. First and foremost, thanks for coming, and up front we'd like to thank JISC and especially Paul for providing us with the venue, and again, yeah, thank you to everyone for coming and for watching. It means a great deal to have so many people come and join us for what should hopefully be the start of something pretty great. We're going to keep this pretty short. We'll try and do 15, 20 minutes. Peter's going to come up and talk very briefly. And then we're going to basically open the floor for a few questions. And then we're going to go get some drinks and a bit of food. And then afterwards there'll be a pub, but we'll find out about that later because even I don't know. So what are we going to talk about? We'll basically talk about how the button started. We'll kind of tell our story. We'll talk about actually what the button does now, what it is, and then we'll talk a little bit about where we're going and thank a lot of people. So, without further ado, I reckon we're on the way.
We'll get started. So if you're on Twitter right now, you'll probably see hundreds of coordinated tweets from everyone like Creative Commons, Jimmy Wales, PLOS, and even JISC. And as much as you all know here, that signals the launch of the Open Access button. And that's where we are right now. We're here in JISC, launching the Open Access button. But for a few minutes, let's go back to where it all started and back to the beginning. So our story begins like many researchers. We struggle to get access to the research we need every day, again and again. So Joe was trying to do research in one of the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies. I was taking a year off from medical school working for my university. So we were both researchers hitting paywalls every day of the week. And this was just a fact of life for a very long time, and we found our own solutions when and where we could. And then about 18 months ago, that all changed. We met Nick Shockey, who you can see on the screen. And Nick is the director of the Right to Research Coalition. And we met him at the March meeting of the International Federation for Medical Student Associations. Nick told us about open access. He told us about the solution to this problem we were having every day. And as a result, Joe and I thought, let's do something about it. But we didn't really know what to do for a while. About a month later, in sort of the small hours of the morning, I think it was around 3 a.m., inspiration struck. We had the idea for the Open Access button. And then we sort of exchanged emails with a few people, and the idea came to fruition. We wanted to change the experience of hitting a paywall and transform it from sort of this disempowering denial of access into an explicit call to action. We had this idea. But at this point, we had no idea what we were doing. We were both scientists. We had no technical background. We didn't know how to code. We thought Python was a snake and not a language. And
wait, it's not.
So we recruited an incredible team of volunteers from all over the world, students and developers, to help build this idea we had. And about 7 months later, in November 2013, we had the Open Access button beta, so our proof of concept. And 11 months ago, it looked like this. We had a map with nothing on it. And over the next 11 months, we turned it into something quite nice. We mapped nearly 10,000 paywalls over the course of 11 months, and it was nothing like anything we've ever experienced before. It captured the imagination of the community, and it was featured in several high-profile outlets. And we've even been hailed by the Dutch State Secretary for Science and Randy Schekman, the 2013 Nobel laureate in physiology or medicine. This is bizarre for two students who just had an idea. And like I said, we had the 10,000 paywalls. Spurred on by this, despite still not having any idea what we were doing, we assembled a larger team. So a core team of initially 10 people at first. You can see some of us here in London in January this year with members of the steering committee. And now we're over 20 students and early career researchers from all over the world, from all backgrounds, some of whom are in this room. And we're supported by a professional steering committee of 10 professionals. And we started redesigning the button from the ground up, making it scalable and sustainable, learning the lessons that we had from the beta, and with our fresh vision of where to go next. We found some funding, and we eventually started building it. And for some reason, we gave ourselves 9 months to do it.
So what did we actually build? Over the past few months, we've been putting together, we've essentially rebuilt the button from the ground up. Nothing exists of what we had from the beta. We've built a few mobile apps. We've built Firefox extensions, Chrome add-ons, and a new bookmarklet. We've also built a mobile app to be a companion to to the web apps, and we've then built a website to essentially house it all. So I think you're all probably going to be pretty interested in how the button works and what it does. So we'll quickly go through that. This is what we're telling everyone. This is kind of our new slogan. Push button, get research, make progress. Essentially sums up what we're trying to do with the button and how we'll be moving forwards from this point. And to really simplify this down into the bare bones, the first thing you've got to do is you go to the website and download whatever you want from the Open Access Button site. It's pretty easy. Sign up takes just a second. Then the next time you hit a paywall, you simply hit the button, and it will try and get you a free version if one is available. If one isn't available, it'll work to if one isn't available, you put that on your wish list, and we'll then employ a number of different methods to try and get you access to that research. If all goes well, if you get your research, then you can make progress with your work. And we've done you a service, and that feels very good for us. If it doesn't, then we'll use things like the story that you give us to help make change and help make actual policy change, which will help turn this into something which will help make this not a problem, essentially. So what does all of that look like to you guys? This is the top of the website. Hopefully you agree that it looks quite pretty. That's our opinion anyway, but it's kind of like giving birth to a kid, so you always think they're really cute, right? So you head down to the bottom of the site, you sign up, and then you're confronted with this. This is your user account. On the right-hand side, you can see a wish list, which is all the articles that you want. On the left-hand side, you can get any of the tools that we've made available at that time. So at the moment, Chrome, Firefox, Android, and the bookmarklet. So essentially, it means we're covered on all platforms. So let's go to the mobile. If you get the mobile app on your Android, this is essentially the first thing you'll see. You'll be asked to log in with the account that you gave us on the website. You'll then run through a few quick instructions. This one's about getting informed. And you'll hit the menu where we kind of show off what we're doing, and I'll basically take the chance to do that right now. So the first thing we're trying to help people do is actually do research on the phone, on the move. We're all moving nowadays, and no one has any time to do all the research. So we've allowed people to essentially use the button from inside their phone. But you can also use any browser on the phone you want and just share to the app like you would on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll do exactly the same thing. We're also allowing people to kind of get informed. This app was envisioned as something which is going to be really informational to people. It's going to be like everything you need to know about open access in your pocket in a really nice phone-friendly format. And then the last thing we want people to do on the phone is to take action. At the moment, the thing we've got showcased is to support Diego, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So very quickly, this is what doing research on mobile looks like. It's essentially exactly the same as on the phone, except you've got the button in the top right-hand corner. And even better than that, most of the headers and also the address bar, basically everything there disappears to give you more space to do your research. If you unfortunately hit a paywall, this is what you're confronted with. It's the same across all of the platforms. You're asked to tell us a little bit about why you want access to the research, which helps us find it for you. And then you submit it to your wish list, and you can look at that on the site. If you want to understand more about open access, you can see that we've got this is just one of the resources, but it's an interactive FAQ. And if you want to learn something, then you just kind of expand it, and you can keep going until essentially you have a small essay on the question, but it will sometimes give you just a couple of sentences. So now for the web app. It's going to feel quite familiar, hopefully. So you're doing some research and you hit a paywall. This is what these look like. I'm assuming you all know what they are. And then, quite like in the beta and on the phone, you hit the button, push button. And you're confronted with, at the top of the screen here, there's no way for me to show this in the live stream, I don't think, but on the top of the screen is essentially all the stuff we're doing to try and get you access to the research immediately. We're looking at big banks of research, and we're also using search engines to figure out if there's a freely available copy. If there isn't, then you just head down the app and you stick in your story about what you could do with that research, right? And the more powerful you make it, the more likely we'll be able to get you access. And then at the bottom, if you've got access, you just hit I got access. If you didn't, you say I didn't get access. So let's imagine this person didn't get access, and they put in a story about needing to make a decision to treat a patient with warfarin. This will then get shared. You'll see a new screen, and you can share from this screen and do lots of other things very soon. So that's kind of what it looks like in terms of apps. When you go to the website, all the data we put on this very, very nice map, and you can explore the stories from there and explore really what's going on. And then when you go to your wish list, that will start to get populated. You can tell if we've found you access to it or if we haven't. Yeah. So there's a lot of technical details behind here which power all of this, and it's relatively complicated, but I'm going to try and give you like a behind-the-scenes view of what we're doing. So you can pretty much split what we do into 3 areas: finding free research, making more research available, and also advocacy. So the finding free research. It turns out that often when you publish a research in Toll Access Journal, there are versions which are very similar for many reasons in what's called repositories, but essentially you can think of them as just big banks of research. Or authors can often post copies that, again, very similar on their websites. And this is a pretty common thing to do. But at the moment, the link between the published version in the journal, which you can't afford, and this free version, which is very similar but somewhere else, can sometimes be quite hard to gather, right? And so we essentially try and make that link. We try and make that really easy for people to do. But often you won't be able to find what you need because it's not available. So we kind of go into our new mode, which is making more research available. And this is what the wish list is about. When you stick something on your wish list, we'll do a number of things with it. We'll start by doing things like emailing the author. By emailing the author, you'll essentially have your story, a little bit of information about you that we got on sign up, and the author will be able to see this, right? And what they'll be able to do is go, oh, this story matters to me. This is someone trying to read my research, and that's why I'm here, right? So they'll hopefully respond to that and send a link to a available copy. And we'll be asking them to put a copy into a repository, right? One of these existing banks of research. It's often quite hard to get authors to do this at the moment, but hopefully this will be a new incentive for authors to do that. Aside from that, every paywall and every story we have on the website will have its own web page. And the idea behind these web pages is like several-fold, but one of them is that hopefully it will start being indexed by Google, and then whenever someone searches for that paper, including the author, they'll see this big like rung of stories of people who want access to their research. They'll have a read and go, huh, okay, this is something I should care about. And this is another way that we'll be trying to reach authors and make this research more available. We'll also be looking at like kind of information which isn't quite the paper, but it is about the paper. So we'll be looking at stuff like the facts that can be pulled out of the paper, and this is something we'll have Peter talk about in a minute. And we'll be looking for lay summaries and any other associated information. But a lot of that stuff is still on the way. The last thing we will do is
advocacy. So, you know, of course, unfortunately, the open access button can only do so much. You know, it isn't a perfect or a long-term solution to this problem that we have. So with the new version of the open access button, we're going to go back to, I guess, our roots. Joe and I started as activists, and a lot of the team started off as activists as well. So we want to sort of start using the data and the stories collected by the Open Access button to help make the changes required to really solve the issue. We'll be running campaigns, supporting grassroots advocates, and building a dedicated data platform for advocates to use and reuse our data. And if you go to our Action Center, which is openaccessbutton.org/action, you can already see the map ready and waiting to be filled by our users. And our first action, which is to sign a petition. This petition was started with ourselves, the Open Access Button, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Creative Commons, and the Right to Research Coalition, in support of Diego Gomez, who is a 26-year-old graduate student who faces 8 years in prison and a huge monetary fine for doing something that everyday citizens do, which is sharing research online for those who cannot access it. So that's our advocacy, and you'll hopefully be hearing a lot more about that in future months. But I thought I'd spend some time speaking about the community, because it's wrong for the two of us to stand up here and talk about the Open Access Button without giving proper mention to the community that surrounds it, and the broader open access community that has supported it since day one. Just speaking for Joe and I, we've really found a home in the community, and to a certain extent it almost feels like we've grown up in the community.
At least grown beards.
We've grown beards in the community.
One of us has.
So we've grown up as individuals, but also the team has grown up as part of the community. We're all young students and early stage researchers. And so for some of us, this is our first experience in the Open Access community. After we released the beta, we had a consultation exercise, and we had an in-person meeting with a small consultation group to ensure what we built was right for the community. And when it came time to fund and build the button, we also reached out to the community and found a huge amount of support. But not quite enough to meet our goals, but of course our goals are quite sky high because we are a bunch of idealists. Our key partnerships with Cottage Labs, a small UK development house who provides social and technical solutions to complex problems, demonstrated how important the community has been. And Mark has been lead developer, and he's built the core elements of the tool which power the whole Open Access button. They stepped in because they care about the project, saw a bright future, and without them, it's safe to say that we wouldn't be here today. It doesn't end there. Harry and Vesco, our two mobile app developers, what we regard as the best developers in the Young Regard State Group, have done an outstanding job in the development of the Android app and have helped out with the rest of the platform. And then Andy from Ubiquity Press have really pulled us out pulled us out of a bit of trouble in the last few days. And thanks to Ubiquity Press, he was allowed some time to work on the Open Access button prior to launch. There's countless others that we don't have the time and/or the memory to thank right now. But if you can find a much longer list of people on our website at openaccessbutton.org/about#thanks, because we're all about hashtags at the Open Access button. And we should mention that there's 20 other events all focused on the Open Access button happening all over the world this week. And again, that's just an example of the community in action. So to tie in the community and to speak a little bit about what's coming next, we're going to give Peter about 30 seconds just to talk.
So I just want to say that this is the most important thing that's happened in opening up knowledge in the last 5 years, I think, because of the passion. This is only just the start. The people and the technology will blossom and spread across the world. In Content Mine, we do something which is complementary. We are extracting facts from scientific literature, and we plan to do this every day across the whole literature. And Open Access Button will feed the papers into us, and we'll be able to extract papers and make them available for the whole world. Thank you very much.
Anytime. And on that note, what's coming next? So I think it's really important to stress that what we've built here is a platform for the future. It's been built quite unlike the beta in a scalable and sustainable way that's going to allow it to grow, adapt, improve, and serve the community. Backed by the core elements of the technology, which Content Mine and Cottage Labs have been so instrumental in building, and the continued support of the community, our potential to do cool new things that we're super excited about are huge. And I guess while we're talking about it being a platform for the future, it's worth mentioning that it's not going to be perfect now, right? Disclaimer. This is still kind of a version 1 of this technology, and we'll be relying on the community to flag all of the problems that we can't have tested for because everyone uses everything in a different way. But you can be sure that we'll be testing and improving on a very, very fast basis without throwing big launches. So the major updates are things that we're excited about coming soon, and that we are going to be building from here on out, are really solidifying our collaboration with ContentMine and delivering facts about papers to our users. We think this is an excellent way to provide people who just can't get access and where everything else fails a really powerful way to figure out, okay, what was the information in this paper that I couldn't access? We'll be looking to automatically recognize the paywalls that our users are hitting and really changing the user interface to be a lot more friendly. Although I think we've come a long way already. Yeah, so we'll be trying to kind of make that even easier for people. We'll be trying to add even more sources of free papers. We've got a couple at the moment, and some of them are a little bit buggy every now and then. So we're working to really broaden the net that we can put out for free papers. And we'll be trying to expand maybe onto a couple of extra platforms. We've got some big ones missing. All you iPhone holders will know what I mean. And there's also kind of Safari as well. And we've recently kind of come across the idea from one of our steering committee members of actually working even more closely with repositories and with these research banks and actually putting the button there too. We'll be, I think David mentioned, trying to build out even more interesting ways of telling stories and showing our data to people. That's kind of what we're all about in a lot of ways, and so we'll be really trying to solidify that. Again, we're trying to work with Wikipedia as well. We kind of said this last time at the beta, but we just didn't have the technology to do it. It's really nice to be able to say that now we do. It would be a shame to be here at JISC without mentioning that we're also really excited about a lot of the ideas and things that have come back from consultation on creating tools for librarians to help manage subscription budgets and everything like that. So they're just a few of the things that we can now seriously try and do off the back of these platforms which we've created. We don't know quite how long it will take, but that will depend on many things that I haven't thought about yet.
So I guess that's us coming to the end. Just to finish off, we'd like to thank a lot of people. So as I said earlier, I don't have the time or the memory to thank everyone that's helped us out so far, but if you go to the website, you can see everyone who is thanked. But we just thought we'd mention a few people here. First of all, College Labs for getting us here, and Melissa from the Open Society Foundations, JISC, the Right to Research Coalition, Medicine and Mozilla Science, and PLOS for funding us and helping us with our funding. All of the crowdfunders, because there's over 60 people that gave us some money. Some of them are in this room. Thank you very much. ContentMine for sharing some of their software. Spark for just being amazing. Graham Seal and John Tennant, who are, John's in this room, Graham is watching the live stream, and then all of our launch event hosts. So, like I said, we have over 20 launch events all over the world, in Europe, the US, the Middle East, and in Central America. And they've all helped out to spread the Open Access button during Open Access Week. And yeah, that's everyone. I think we have some time for questions, and afterwards we can enjoy the drinks and food outside. So thank you very much.
We can enjoy the drinks. Yes.
Yeah, so I think maybe some other people wondered with the emailing the author thing, which is really, really cool. Does it just does it email them every time someone clicks it, or is there some mechanism to avoid kind of irritating them too much, or is there decidedly not a mechanism?
So the question was, is there essentially a safeguard on the emailing the author mechanism? I'm repeating for the live stream just for everyone in the room who heard that perfectly. In short, yes. That's the simple answer. We'll be figuring out exactly how that safeguard will be in the next week or so. Essentially, we have to wait for some of the data to come in to figure out exactly what it's going to look like. So we will be either doing something along the lines of, this is what we've spoken about before, having it just email the author once or once over a period of time, or just once. We will not be spamming authors because that's really not a very constructive way to do things, right? The nice thing about the time-based thing is that we can record how many people in that time want access, and so we can say to an author, hey, 15 people wanted your work during this time. At first, probably no, to be perfectly honest. This is part of the ongoing work that we're... Sorry, I need to repeat the question. Will we be notifying the repository that we are asking the author to deposit into? Right now, we can't do that. We'd need to set up quite a sophisticated like index, essentially, of where the author was, who their repository manager was, but other than that, there's no technical hurdle, and it's something which we have discussed again, but it's not something we can do quite yet. Again, we were speaking about trying to integrate more with repositories if we could, and that would be something which we will be trying to do.
Anytime you get a request with this matching email address, let me know. That pushes the onus back onto the repository, the quantity where, and they'll make a connection for you for those repositories who are active.
That sounds good. Yeah. Opens the channel. Yeah. Yeah. The way we had essentially spoken about trying to do it was having it, rather than us go to them, was by actually creating something on our side which said, hey, if you want updates, then you tell us what the details, and then that's actually quite trivial for us to do from there. I'm not sure if that's what you said, but I'm hoping it's similar. Excellent, excellent, cool. This is what we wanted to do with some of the beta, but we never quite got to it. Any more questions? John?
So, like, there was an article a couple of years ago in The Atlantic saying that 100 million users every year have found their way from JSON to tables. That's a pretty epic number.
It is.
You know, you really think, you know, people haven't really started to change it, but still, like, massive. Why do you think it's going to change? Like, what kind of volume of tables is going to get that publishing? So the difference there is there is a table organization. The depersonalized backpack is on the other one. It's trying to personalize the person user and no matter how much distribution, focus on the author will be working and that's the backpack around the institutional.
We should just get you up here. So for people on the live stream, if only we'd managed to get a roaming mic together. John asked, JSTOR was turning away 150 million people, and that statistic is out there, but it doesn't seem to have forced you know, a dramatic shift in what's going on. Although, well, maybe that stat alone hasn't. And I think that's a fair point. I think that stat is actually quite hard to find. It took me a long time to come across it, and I like to do my research. But then it was commented that essentially that's quite depersonal, and what the OA button is all about is making it very, very personal, right? Making and so hopefully, in terms of how many papers we would need to make a significant impact. In a way, I think we're trying to go from the author level, right? You know, if rather than a whole systems change, we're trying to look at contacting the authors and reaching out to their hearts, right, to a certain extent, rather than, yeah, kind of doing it from the organization level. Christian? Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. So again, for the live stream, have we thought about publishing stories about authors who make their content available? Yes, we have. At the moment, we've had a series going for quite a while now on our blog interviewing our users. But there's very little reason why we couldn't flip that. And we're trying to tell stories as a project, so I think that's going to be a really valuable story to tell. So yes. Whisper it in our ears. Just,
currently positive manuscripts that are contract DOI, a good portion of them also submit under information in Crossrack. So if you got the DOI, you could automatically find out what plunder is.
yes.
And so you could sweeten the deal by telling the author that they make their paper available. You'll not contact them, contact your reader. You'll also contact their plunder and contact their plunder.
Yeah. That.
You're not just reaching their parts, you're also reaching their person.
And that is really how you make change. So again, this is something which we've spoken about in the past. Is we've had quite a few conversations with various funders about compliance and how the open access button can play a part in helping to
Monitor compliance.
monitor compliance, and that is a link that we've seen ourselves, and is again something that we would really be interested in doing.
And if there's any funders watching or in the room and you want to speak to us about helping us to monitor compliance with your open access policies, just get in touch. hello@openaccessbutton.org is where you can find us.
Yeah.
Or David and Joe at openaccessbutton.org. So.
It is.
Maybe yeah. Also using like the metadata that you capture. Is there going to be a running shame tally of journals who have turned away off the side?
So the question was, I didn't do that last time. The question was, with our data and metadata, can we do a kind of a league table of shame from journals? We don't already have it mocked up.
So the data platform that we've mentioned twice now, that will allow us to use the data and the stories we collect in sort of lots of cool and interesting ways. In ways like looking at what publishers have the most research in our data set and stuff like that. So let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's more to come.
It should be noted that we still have to fund the data platform.
Yeah.
But it's something we're really excited about and we will be charging for. Is there anything from Twitter or anything like that? I know we haven't explicitly asked, but... So we'll just...
So I think... Someone on Twitter said that I pledged not to shave until open access is a thing. I don't want to go on record saying that, but you know, I might consider it. So on that note, someone also said that every single hair in my beard represents one paywall. It's been registered. Which.
I'm very worried this is going to turn into one of the open access memes.
So on that note, I think if there's no more questions, thank you all for coming. Thank you everyone on the live stream, and we should just go and enjoy the food and drinks outside, and we can all chat afterwards. So thank you.